how to start your Monday morning. Start the fire, boil the water, grind the coffee, add filter, coffee in the filter, water into filter, watch it drip, more water, watch it drip some more, fill your cup, raise your cup, and no. Leave the house and leave it up to the professionals to make the coffee. I'll stick to the conversations. Welcome to Caffeinated Conversations with Brooke Allen. Welcome to Caffeinated Conversations with Brooke Allen. This is episode 72. Thank you so much for being with us, of course. This is the first Monday in April. I cannot believe it. It feels like time is just flying by. It was a crazy weekend for me. I don't know what you were doing, but I felt like I was not even able to breathe on Friday. It was so exciting. I MC often at the Redford Theater, and they were doing When Harry Met Sally. And so I got to do that. And then I left that at intermission and then went to the Rooster Tail in downtown Detroit because the Detroit Historical Society, they were having their society ball. So I wanted to go feel fancy, and I went there for a little while. They were literally cleaning up as I'm like, wait, I'm here. So then on Saturday, I ended up going to Wayne State to see prom. So it was a busy weekend. And then, of course, yesterday, Sunday, the kids and I, we went to a church, and then we went to go visit my stepdad. He's 92. He's in the hospital. So we went to see him. And then yesterday also was my grandfather's birthday. And I have spoken about my grandfather a lot. He's the one who I used to refer to as dad when I was growing up. Um, and the reason for my coffee addiction, actually, because when I was a kid, he would call on Saturday mornings and he would say, hey, do you want to go to breakfast? And I'd be literally waiting by the phone for him to call and ask me for breakfast. And I mean, I was little. I was like 7 or 8. And we would go to the local Coney Island and have our breakfast. So yesterday he would have been 94. It was nice to celebrate him. The kids remembered that. And it was just although it's sad, it was still a good thing. And I think it's always good to acknowledge, right? It's always good to acknowledge somebody who's no longer with us, but to kind of celebrate their birthday anyway. So that is what I did this weekend. And JoJo Dries is here, and she is the founder of On the Wings of Angels. And JoJo, I know you are super busy because you have got the gala coming up.
Yes.
And I'm super excited about this. But first of all, On the Wings of Angels, we've seen you everywhere. It has been fantastic because this nonprofit literally is how old?
2 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not even 2 years,
Not
right?
even. Yeah, it's like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yep,
So
yep.
a year and a half and going on your second gala.
Yes.
And for anyone who is not familiar, tell us what you do.
Absolutely. Before I talk about that, though, that's so sweet about your grandpa.
I know.
Because
I love him so much.
I actually used to drink Arabic coffee with my grandpa.
Okay.
So Jiddo came from Lebanon, immigrated from Lebanon, and he would always drink his, that Turkish coffee.
Oh, so thick, right?
Yes, the thick,
it's
strong,
like, yes.
coffee. And he would always put a little milk in it for us kids to feel like we were enjoying it with him.
Right.
So we would always look forward to him coming out in the morning and drinking that with us. So that's such a beautiful memory.
It's so funny too because my grandfather, oh my God, he loved McDonald's coffee. I do
Okay.
not, right? I'm not a
Yeah.
McDonald's. No.
Yeah.
And so I would make him coffee, which is kind of the inspiration for the Open.
Wow.
Because I was telling Dean, who owns Every Media, I was like, I don't know how to make coffee. And he's like, what? And so when I would make a pot of coffee for my grandpa, he would be like, oh, this is the worst coffee ever, and dump it down the sink. So
That's great. I love that.
Yes,
that's
but
a shared memory.
it is a good memory, right?
It is.
So,
it's good we acknowledge our ancestors in that way. So
do you know
that's
how to make that coffee?
I do.
Do you?
I have 2 really gorgeous Turkish coffee pots, as well as the whole sets that we inherited. So
well, then I'm coming
Come
over.
on over.
Because I don't know how to make that.
Right. It's great because it's got that kick, the cardamom. So
no, I love that.
That's fun.
But
I just had to touch on that, right? So On the Wings of Angels, I founded On the Wings of Angels as a hobby a couple of years ago. I'm a domestic violence survivor myself, and On the Wings of Angels was created to provide immediate and tangible resources, community, and support to domestic violence survivors. So when I escaped my own situation 13 years ago, the community rallied around me and gave me just that. They provided me furnishings for an apartment, my kitchen, kitchen items, a bed, couches, and so
It's like
and
everyday items that we
yes,
all take for granted,
that we take
right?
for granted. Because when you escape, traditionally, a situation that's an abusive situation, you normally just escape with the clothes on your back.
Mhm.
And so you have no resources or community or support. And so what we did is I said, okay, we're going to do the same for survivors now. And as a survivor, I realized there's a cycle of domestic violence. A lot of times when you're in this cycle of abuse, they say it takes about 7 times to finally escape your situation. You might try and try and try again.
The pull is tough though,
The pull
right?
is tough, because that's your comfort
Mhm.
ultimately. That's what you're used to. That's
Mhm.
what you're comfortable with. And you believe what the abuser tells you because they twist your mind to thinking that you can't survive without them.
Right.
And so at On the Wings of Angels, we serve survivors that are on that last leg of, okay, I'm done.
Mhm.
We had a survivor that was in her driveway with her kids. Her abuser was drunk on the couch, passed out. And she said, all right, I planned this, waited for this last time for him to be drunk. What do I do?
Mhm.
And so we immediately jumped in. We sent an Uber out there, sent her to a hotel, provided her immediate safety, got her a hot meal for her kids. She texted me and said, I'll never forget this. She was like, this is the first hot meal they've had in days,
Mm.
because he had just, ruined their lives so much. And then we helped her get a job and we helped her get permanent housing. So it's like, if you want to look at it, it's like a triage. We
Mhm.
immediately provide that triage and then we resource them with we're a conduit for other resources.
So what's interesting is that there's so many resources that people need and they need help immediately, but sometimes you just can't get it. I mean, the paperwork,
Yes.
right? So that's the one key thing about On the Wings of Angels, I
Yes.
think, is
Is
that it's the immediacy because,
Yeah.
when you're in that situation, you need to get out, but you're hesitating. So
Yes.
you're going back and forth, but if you have to fill out some paperwork,
Yeah, that's the last thing
that's
you
the
have
last
time
thing, right?
for,
Exactly.
because ultimately it's an emergency situation, and there's some wonderful, wonderful nonprofits in the domestic violence space here in Metro Detroit,
Mm.
and we partner with them. However, that immediate need, a lot of them have told us that we're filling in a gap for that space. And so we see ourselves as a no red tape nonprofit.
Mhm.
Now, that doesn't mean we don't vet our survivors. It doesn't mean we don't check,
So, okay, so say a woman calls
yes.
and then what happens?
So when you call On the Wings of Angels, I love that you asked this because a lot of people want to know, like, how does the
Yeah, what
process
happens?
work?
What could somebody expect, I guess, is
Yes, yes.
if you're trying to get
So
out.
we ask them a lot of questions. So a lot of times people want to help their niece or whoever it might be. We say no. First of all, the survivor has to fill in the survey on our website.
Oh,
So we need the first line of vetting is that we need to make sure that the survivor wants to get out, that this isn't some of their family or friends forcing them to change their ways or their situation. Once they fill it out, immediately we call within an hour and we say to them, okay, we start asking the list of questions. When you're in fight or flight mode, you don't always know what you need. You don't always know what the first priority is. And so we are that calming voice that
mhm.
says, okay, do you have food? Are your kids safe? Are you safe? Do you have a place to stay tonight? And so we start asking them those immediate questions. We obviously ask them for their license and we vet
Oh,
them in
you do?
that way.
Okay.
Yes, we ask for a driver's license. Some of them have left with no form of ID.
Mhm.
So we ask them to provide us some form of ID. A lot of times they have it in their phone or on an email. So we are able to vet them to make sure they are who they say they are.
Okay.
Addition to that, and some people take a slight offense at this, but we really vet them. Like I'll Google people's names, I'll look them up on social media. We have that situation sadly where folks are trying to take advantage of the
Yeah.
nonprofit. Yes,
Oh,
and
okay.
so where I face I looked up one of the survivors on Facebook and ultimately, she had just been, at a very fancy dinner the night before. So I screenshot her Facebook social media post and texted to her. And I said, hey, is this you? Because I
Mhm.
wanted to make sure whether it was somebody else with the same name or
Right.
face. And I never heard from her again.
Hmm.
So sometimes I wonder, is it the abuser that's finding us and then
Mhm.
saying, hey, go
That's
go,
what I was wondering too.
because we have had that situation before too, where people have left us voicemails or I can hear the abuser in the background, do this, do that. So we try to vet them to the best of our variability, and then we match them with the resources.
Okay.
So not everyone needs the same thing,
For sure. And you
you
help
know,
women with or without kids,
with or without
right?
children.
Yes.
It has to be in Michigan because
Okay.
all of our donor support comes from Michigan, and most of our support comes from Metro Detroit. So if you're outside of this area, we
Mhm.
tend to refer you to other resources in your area,
Okay.
because we like that our donor dollars go to our local area, and then that's a promise we can make to our donors that it stays here in Michigan and in Metro Detroit.
For sure.
And then in addition to that, there's other things we've done. So one of my favorite stories that I always love to tell is we had this wonderful survivor, and she called us because her abusive ex was so upset that she was making money outside the home. She's an Uber driver.
Hmm.
That he took her car and he crashed it into a wall and landed himself in the hospital because he was mad that she was making money outside the house. And so she called us initially because she didn't feel safe testifying against him in court. So we sent a security guard with her. We have an all-female security team that we
So
use,
awesome.
and these are things that not everyone thinks of. But
Right.
it's like, hey, if I'm gonna testify against my ex, sometimes I need extra support. So we send the
But I think
security
it
guard.
makes a difference
Yeah,
that it's women.
that it's women.
Yeah. I love that,
It's a
honestly. I
female
mean, yeah,
security
I know,
team.
would never have thought of that.
Yes,
So
because
because,
then
yeah.
yeah, then there's an extra layer of safety there.
Hmm.
And so then she called me later and said, okay, I won in court, he's in jail. And I was like, okay, what's your next step? How are you going to find a job? You were driving Uber. She says, well, I can't go rent a car because I have a $3,500 penalty on my account now because Uber is penalizing me for the crash that just happened with the
Really?
car.
Oh,
Because what had happened is she was renting a car through Avis. Avis allows a lower rental fee if you're driving their car for Uber. So I was going to pay we were going to pay the 3,500 with On the Wings, but instead of doing that, I was like, well, let's see if we can waive the 3,500. It
hmm,
wasn't your fault. You didn't crash the
right. And
car.
there's proof that it
There's
wasn't.
proof.
Right.
So we gathered all the court documents. We sent on our letterhead, I wrote a long letter to Uber and Avis and I explained the situation with the court documents, and they waived the $3,500.
High five, girl.
And then we used that money to rent her a car. And then I called a sponsor for the second month, and they rented her a car for the second month. I had another sponsor for the third month.
Hmm.
The beautiful piece of this is so we spent $3,000, $1,000 a month. After that, her mom and her grandma came to her and said, "You're really out of the situation. You found a supportive network. We would like to put a small down payment on a small home for you."
Oh,
So now she's living happily ever after in her
yay.
beautiful home in her
Really?
name with her children, paying for her own bills using Uber to drive.
That is
So
amazing,
isn't that
JoJo. Yes, that is
awesome?
so, yes, that is so awesome. Seriously.
Yeah.
And you have, I mean, there's On the Wings is just over a year and a half old, and there's
Yeah.
so many stories that
And the thing is
that
the
you've helped.
it's the community. So, you came to our first gala. You interviewed me when I
I think I
first
was your very first interview
You
that
were.
when I was still with WWJ, 'cause you were like,
Yes.
"Listen, I'm starting this." And I'm like,
Yes.
"Okay." Yeah.
Yes,
So
and it's unbelievable how the community, rallies around, doing good,
mhm.
right? And so, I think in these times of darkness and, like, things like that, I think people want to do good. They want to, feel like they're contributing to a better society.
Mhm.
And so we've just had so much overwhelming support, and so to the community, I say thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's been amazing. And
Yeah.
even so real quick, I mean, it was in
Yeah.
December, right? When you collected all those donate in the warehouse. And
My God.
I was actually supposed to like have people bring stuff to the show, and JoJo's like, "We have so much.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
nowhere to put it. I don't know what to do."
So that happened also. It went this Facebook post that I did. I said, "Hey, we have a survivor." I was in appointments all day. My staff couldn't handle it immediately. So I said, "We have a survivor that needs clothes immediately. Where can I send them right now? To a thrift store or something like
Right.
that can just give them clothes." And so we ended up serving that survivor immediately that day. But through that post, we had over 100 comments that said, we have items that are brand new that we'd like to donate.
And
And
were those from businesses or people or a
so
combination?
both.
Okay.
So businesses, without me knowing, put
Mhm.
bins in their office buildings
Oh, how cool.
and collected things,
Mhm.
brand new toys, clothes, shoes, books. And so we started. So then a friend of mine that owns a warehouse
Mhm.
said, I will give you the warehouse at no charge. And so so thank you to her, Yasmin, for doing that. And ultimately we had it was like a mosh pit of just bags and
It
clothes.
was
And
craziness.
remember those videos?
It's like I'm
And
like, "Wow, that's a lot."
it was a
But the
lot.
amazing thing is that the survivors were able to go shopping.
And then we did a shopping day in the
Yes.
middle of December, right before Christmas, where survivors came with their children, their families, and they were able to just pick up bags and bags of clothes, bath and
Right,
body
because there were
things,
there were
toiletries.
necessary items there
Yes,
too.
yes, it was nice.
Yeah.
The only thing we didn't have was food, but we had all these items, and many of these survivors didn't have money to get their children Christmas gifts, and so this was their Christmas shopping for
Right.
their children, and they walked away with free items. And so for the volunteers, I was telling them, I said, because we had personal shoppers to go with each survivor. So I said, when you do your personal shopping with them, please know that they're not used to being rewarded with anything. They're not used to feeling worthy of taking anything.
And so they might be hesitant, right?
So they're going to be hesitant.
Okay.
They're just going to take one or two
Oh.
items. So I said, please make sure you stuff their bags. Make sure you encourage them to keep getting things. And we had
Run around.
right, literally. And that's what they did. And we had volunteers just crying, saying, we've never experienced this because
Cool.
we're used to going to the grocery store or Target or Meijer
Mhm.
and just picking what we want or to the mall.
And not having to answer to anyone, right? And you
Yeah.
have to think that a lot of these women would have to answer for what
Yeah.
they spent or what store they
Yes.
went to.
Yes. And so the volunteers were and so that's one of the things I love about On the Wings is we're able to really bring the community to a bigger awareness because domestic violence is something we like to sweep under the rug.
Mhm.
It's not something we like to talk about on a regular basis. But the truth is that 1 in every 4 women and 1 in every 7 men have experienced some sort of domestic violence in their life. And that's what's reported. 44% of domestic violence goes completely unreported.
Is it 44%?
44% of it goes unreported because
Yeah.
we're scared.
Right.
What if we go to the authorities and, we get worse treatment
Mhm.
afterwards? What if the system doesn't help us? What if we don't find an organization like On the Wings of Angels? What's going to happen to us ultimately? But today that's going to change because all of you are listening.
And the
So
watching.
yeah, and watching, and so we're making you now angels of change in the community. So today, everyone listening is now an angel of change in our community. We're going to talk about it. We're going to help our communities with this very big problem.
Right. And okay, so it is gala season.
Yes, it is.
And yours is in just a few weeks.
Yes, it is.
And
So
this is exciting.
we're so excited you'll be there. April 26th at the Royal Park Hotel. On the Wings of Angels is throwing their second annual fundraising gala. And every dollar that is raised at, for example, the silent auction
Mhm.
and the paddle raise will go directly into the hands of a domestic violence survivor and their families. Um, Pretty much most of the ticket prices
Mhm.
is going towards domestic violence survivors. So only a very small portion of your ticket price, even though it's $250. Thankful to sponsors and thankfully to all the people that are supporting us. We have so many sponsors right now. Austin Benefits is our presenting sponsor. They've been very generous because they really want to make effective change for domestic violence survivors. Denise Mansfield with Mansfield Insurance is one of our sponsors. We've got Sandy with Center for Financial
Oh yeah,
Planning.
Sandy.
Sandy,
Yes,
you've had her
Sandy.
on
Yes, yep,
before.
I've had her on.
We've had several, Horizon Bank. Janet with Horizon Bank has been a longtime supporter. So because of those table sponsors, we're able to do a lot with domestic violence survivors. DJ Kittens from LA is donating her time and talents to come speak. She's a intersectional feminist, very big advocate for DV across the world.
Mhm.
She's done events for Dior, for Billboard magazine, for Variety magazine. And she is not charging us to speak. We're paying for her plane ticket. And
That's
and we're
awesome.
paying for a basic plane ticket too. She didn't even ask for first class. DJ Nicole Mint, her whole team is coming to DJ the event. So
Okay.
this is not your
This is fun.
This is fun.
This is fun.
This is not your stuffy gala.
No.
This is fun JoJo gala.
Good, because I don't have a dress, man. So I can't rewear the dress I wore Friday. So
Right,
I
yeah.
was like, what am I? Oh, that was from Target anyway. So.
Well, there you go. Bring your dancing shoes. There will be a photo booth. The photo booth's being donated by Shannon.
And then the auction items. Right?
So get this. So
Mhm.
we called for a silent auction donation over the last few weeks. Businesses in the local area, and we're still collecting items if anyone's listening that would like to donate. And so all the silent auction committee gathered yesterday, and we looked at all the items and we marked down all the pricing. And just at face value, all the items that were donated were $20,000 worth of silent auction donations.
That is so amazing. And that was what you had in your head, right?
And yes,
That was the
thank you for saying
that was
so
the yes.
You saw that,
Yep.
yes. So when I set out to do this gala, I had a target in mind of what I wanted to fundraise between ticket sales and everything else. For the silent auction portion,
Mhm.
I put a big, hairy, audacious goal out there for $20,000.
And you made it.
We made it.
You
We
made it.
So thanks to the community.
Yeah.
Thank you all for just supporting and caring enough to donate of your
That's
time,
cool.
talent, and treasure to this.
Yeah. So just manifest. Keep manifesting,
That's
right?
That's the message.
That is. Follow your North Star.
Yes, follow the North Star is
Follow
our favorite Terry Bean says.
It is.
Yes.
It is indeed. Okay, so tickets are still available.
Tickets are still available. Tickets are available on our website. You can check out onthewings.org, and they will be on there. They're $250 a ticket. We have 2 tables left at $2,000. So through the generosity of the community, people have bought tickets for domestic violence survivors to attend the event.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
I wondered.
So we will have some. We're not going to announce them. We want them to feel comfortable and just enjoy the gala without making a
For sure.
big hoopla about it. But because of those donated tickets, we're able to discount 2 tables to $2,000. They're normally $2,500.
Thank you. Thanks for having
And then
me.
with larger
Thank
sponsorships,
you.
there's larger tiers if you want more
Hi, how's it
exposure.
going?
So there's still those sponsorships available for whoever would like to purchase tickets and attend. And again, it's going to be fun. We expect 250 to 300 people there. Very quality human beings, business owners, and community advocates.
And I'll be there. So hey.
Yes, you will. So come dance with Brooke and I.
Because I'm a horrible dancer. Let's just throw that out there right now. I'm not,
And of course, the Royal Park, I mean, it's a seated dinner.
Yes.
They're just pulling out all the stops. We've had so many things donated.
What day is this?
Yes,
I know what day it is, but
yes, thank you. Saturday, April 26th. So Saturday, April 26th, doors open at 5.
Okay.
And the gala will end around 11. So dinner starts at 6:30. Cocktail hour from 5 to 6:30. We'll have passing hors d'oeuvres, and then 6:30 to 7:30 will be dinner and welcome, and then 7:30 our speakers and award ceremony starts, and then after that we'll be dancing and just having a good time.
Whoop, whoop. Awesome.
Yes.
Always a pleasure, and
Thank
I
you.
have to tell you that I'm excited about
Thank you.
the gala and
Thank you.
and about the announcement you're going to make.
Oh yes, are we ready? Are we
Yep,
ready
go
for the
ahead. Yep,
announcement?
go
All right,
ahead.
I was
I'm
waiting
excited.
for the tee
I'm
up
giving
here.
her the wink.
All
man.
right, I was waiting for the tee up. So today we'd like to announce to the community that Brooke Allen has done us the honor of joining our board of directors with On the Wings of Angels.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you. I'm so excited.
So
Thank
we
you.
are so proud to have you on the board.
Thank you.
You wrote a most beautiful letter and a most beautiful application. The board was all in tears and very touched by your request to, and the information you put in that letter we appreciate you sharing that with us.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just honored to do great things together. You've already done so much by getting the word out in the community, and we just want to say thank you, and we're glad to have you on the team.
Well, thank you. I'm so excited. Still can't dance though, but I'm excited.
Well, get ready to work.
Okay.
Get
yes.
ready to work. 'Cause,
Exactly.
I got some stuff for you.
All right. Awesome. So yeah. So
Yes.
okay. So that is that's super exciting.
Thank you.
Website people can go to. It's a beautiful website.
Yes.
It's very
On the
easy to
Wings.
navigate
Yep.
if they want to just even donate.
Yes. And so, our commitment, a lot of nonprofits, we're out there in the community, we're serving the community. They're, the admin cost of things, of course, a nonprofit's going to have admin costs. Of course, we need to get the word out and so forth. But our commitment to the community is that your donor dollars are being spent for domestic violence survivors. And it's amazing how far these dollars can go. So sometimes people are like, well, only have $20 to donate. That's fine. We can get gas. We can
Mm-hmm.
get an Uber. You could have saved a woman, because we got that immediate Uber for her.
Right.
We can get them to safety. It can go towards a hotel night. Hotels across the community are giving us huge discounts on
That's
hotel
awesome.
room nights. So, $20, $10, $50, whatever it may be that you have, trust and believe that that money is being put to good use.
Exactly. Okay.
So,
Thank you so much,
thank you,
JoJo.
my
Thank you.
friend. Thank you.
Okay,
Really
so
honored.
of course, April is Autism Awareness Month, and I had the chance to sit down with one of the biggest advocates around town. You may have had his pizza. It is Freddie the Pizza Man, and he is all about equipping sensory rooms around the state of Michigan. Let's watch. Okay, so I am in Malvindale, and we are talking about Autism Awareness Month. I'm with Freddie Bello, founder of the Freddie Bello Pizza Foundation, and you do so much for autism awareness, and you do it because of your son.
Yeah, absolutely. My son was diagnosed at 2.5 years old and just changed my life, my wife and I, and just wanted to help out. Never expected to be this big with autism. I call it Autism Acceptance Month. Didn't realize it was going to be turn out to be this big, but it has. So the fact that it has, I want to do more, and I continue to do more.
And you do it with sensory rooms around the state of Michigan.
Yeah, we do. We fund and equip sensory spaces in Michigan schools. We've done 104 schools in the state of Michigan, all the way from Traverse City to Monroe, from Grand Haven to Port Huron. We've done Frankenmuth. We've 104 schools, and we've done two major stadiums in the state of Michigan: Ford Field, where the Detroit Lions play, and Michigan State's the Breslin Center.
For anyone who may not know what a sensory room is, kind of explain it.
Sensory space is a child with special needs. It's a private little room for them with ball pits and jumping mats and little fidgets, and just to kind of give them that moment to decompress and just take a few moments. But a child with special needs, when they just don't understand, when they're having that bad moment,
They get overwhelmed.
They get overwhelmed. It's overwhelming for them. And me having a child with sensories, I understand it completely.
Right.
A room like that is so beneficial to them, but also it's beneficial to the teachers. The ASD teachers do a great job to do with the kids. And us as parents, we send our kids to that school, so we want to make sure that they're in a good spot, and the sensory space really helps.
How do people donate?
Donate, they go to freddythepizzaman.com. The foundation stands on its own. It's a 501c3. Anything you donate goes strictly to the foundation. And I tell everyone, when you donate, you're helping. It's not just me.
Right.
I know my name is behind it, but you're donating, you're helping. It means the world to us.
And how much have you raised so far?
We have raised, oh wow, we've raised probably $250,000, and we have donated almost $150,000 in sensory equipment. So, and people that know my story, we don't write checks. We buy the sensory equipment, and we will ship it to them, or we will deliver it to them. That way, they have it in their hands.
That is amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Freddie Bello.
Thank you. Thank you.
And of course, that was Freddie Bello. What that video did not say is that he is donating $3,000 to 5 different schools who like and comment and share these videos. And if all you have to do is like and comment, and also tag the school that you want to get that sensory equipment, and then we will make that announcement, Freddie and I together, closer to when the school year starts. So I can't even believe it, the 2025-2026 school year, right? Time is flying by so quick. I'm like,
Yeah, I know. It's too
just,
fast.
just make it stop, man. Okay, so we were talking to JoJo Dries, the founder of On the Wings of Angels, and now Jen is here. And Jen, we met back in October, I think it was
WXW.
when I was moderating the panel there, and you are a police chaplain. And I was so intrigued by that because I don't know that I've ever met a woman who was like, "Oh no, I'm a police chaplain,"
Mhm.
and I thought it was a great fit, right, for you to kind of meet. But how did you start this?
So, well, when I was about 25, 26, I was working at Chrysler and they had corporate chaplains. and they had women corporate chaplains.
Oh,
And there was a little Bible study group at lunch that I was a part of, and I thought, wow, I had no idea that this was an option for me
right.
as a ministry because
Mm-hmm.
I was already dabbling in different ministries with teen ministries and music ministries. So it really started, yeah, I really just started becoming more and more interested in it at that point. And then it fizzled out. I mean, not the current path I was on was, marketing and communications, which is a great
Yeah.
it's a great base for almost
It
anything.
is. It is.
Yeah, and so I appreciated that, but then, in Indiana, I got into social work with addictions counseling,
Okay.
and from there decided I really wanted to go for my master's, so it eventually
It just kind
it
of flowed,
just
right?
opened more and more doors,
Mm-hmm.
that at the time I felt, like imposter syndrome, like, "What am I doing, and how am I qualified for this?" And
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason, God probably, it continued. Those doors continued to open. So,
So
it's kind
you
of a longer story.
right, right. But
Yes.
so okay, so as a police chaplain, but you, I mean,
Mhm,
you speak to organizations.
mhm.
You, it's kind of a trauma crisis, or tell me.
Okay.
Yes.
So, well, the great thing is the police put me through a lot of training,
Okay.
and so that was for me, that was free.
Mm-hmm.
I am a student at Moody Theological Seminary,
Okay.
so where I started out in counseling, um, the advice that I continued to get was, "You really need to move over to ministry," and I
Oh.
was intimidated by that
Mm-hmm.
because, among the classes in counseling, it's, a sprinkling of men,
Mhm.
and when you go into the ministry courses, there's a sprinkling of women, and I thought, "Okay, well, I'm confident this is where I'm supposed to be, but it's gonna be interesting."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so how has it been
So
for you?
what's morphing is that the focus has been first responders, and that has been such a blessing. But where I want to go is more of an entrepreneur, on the side of that.
Okay.
So one of my passions is hopefully I could speak at schools
Mm-hmm.
and explain to them the
What,
career.
high schools or middle school?
Preferably high
Okay.
schools. Maybe on a career day or
Mm-hmm.
things like
For
that. But
sure.
just to let them know, not only about the need um, for this path and for this career, but just the fact that the women there's a lot less women
Right.
doing it, and the only area where it's closer to 50% is actually the Catholic Church, and I think that might be because of nuns,
Okay.
because that
Right.
is a service that they do. But yes, in the military and in other places, there's not very many women. So that's a passion for me to teach
And then you
in the
also
schools.
counsel, right?
Yes. And so a lot of what I do with the police is it could be one on one, or it could be in a group debriefing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to move that also into the corporate world. So if there was some horrific event where people needed to speak and decompress and talk, just to go in there and host those, and guide the questions and just help them process what happened the same way that we do with the police and the fire and
What is for first
Mhm.
responders? What is the biggest issue that you hear?
I would say the most rewarding thing that I do is help prevent PTSD. So they might come to me and say, I'm drinking, I'm doing my coffee, I'm not sleeping, I can't get this image out of my head."
Mhm.
And there's actually a therapy called EMDR that helps to blur. Have you heard of this?
Mhm.
That helps to blur out the trauma,
Mhm.
so that people can move on. And before it gets to that point, I'm able to help them just to normalize, like, it's normal not
Right.
to sleep right now. It's
Mhm.
normal to want to drink and caffeinate yourself away from what you experienced. So a lot of that is just, unfortunately, people don't hear about that a lot with first responders. But, there was an incident where a baby was shot, and the debrief room consisted of police, fire, and EMS because they all said, we just got to talk
Oh, yeah.
about what happened
Mm-hmm.
and what went wrong and what went right. And ended up the fire department is who took the baby because the ambulance got stuck,
Oh.
and they're all trying to do the what's best,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and so they're second guessing themselves after the fact. Did we do, get anybody check on him? Is he okay? And what was really great is it ends up becoming very organic, even though I'm guiding it,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone just encourages each other. No, you were awesome.
Oh,
You
that's
did
awesome.
everything you could have done, and so that's just really great. But I think that my heart is to bring that to stay doing what I'm doing, but to bring it in other arenas.
And then what about
Mhm.
relationships?
And that's my favorite part
Mhm.
is there's a therapist, PhD. His name is John Gottman, and anybody can read
Mm-hmm. For
his
sure.
books, but there's actually a special certification that um, I'm getting to do this, so it could be churches or different organizations, and just really walking people through this workshop, because I think it does help to have somebody facilitating the fun exercises and things like that. But really, Gottman is amazing, and he believes that people shouldn't be in counseling for years and years and years. That he wants to give them tools,
Okay.
go home, practice,
Do
and
homework, come back.
improve
And
your
right.
relationship,
And work it.
and then you don't need me anymore.
Interesting.
And so it's really fascinating to just even watch people face each other and build each other up. And the times where you're tempted to talk to that third person and she did this.
Right.
Right. And then in my job is okay, talk to each other. And then
Oh, okay.
you're interceding where you need to,
Right.
and helping to guide it if there's something that goes on. But really, it's so rewarding, and that's a passion for me is marriage. So actually, we have May 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
The police chaplains are putting on a big marriage conference
Really?
for it's first responders, but
Okay.
I think it would be open to some other people too. It's free.
Oh, okay. So what are the details on that? That's awesome.
So yeah, I think you can go to my website.
Okay. Go to the yes,
Yeah,
let's
it's on
plug the
my
website,
but
please.
May
No,
3rd.
seriously. So
Yeah.
May 3rd. Okay.
Mhm.
And then is it in the evening, the day?
It's in the middle of the day because it's encouraged to go on a date afterward.
How
It's
nice.
just finger foods.
Oh,
You
that's
didn't
cool.
kind of
You're
like a
like, we're gonna
brunch,
feed you a little bit, but
a
not
little
much.
bit of brunch. Right. And so Mark Pulford is the officer who is overseeing the chaplain program.
Okay.
So he has a section, I have a section, and there's two other awesome guys who are chaplains with the police
Okay.
that each they're all speaking on something different. And it's really interactive. It's not just sitting,
Right.
taking
Okay.
notes.
That is
So
amazing.
it
Okay,
should be
so
fun.
your website where people can find information is dun, dun, dun.
Wellspring, it's just
Wellspring
wellspringchaplain.com.
Chaplain. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Awesome. Thank you
Yeah,
so
yeah,
much. And
you're welcome.
it's funny. It's not funny actually, but we've had police here like these last couple of weeks talking
Mm,
about different topics. And the thing is that first responders so often get overlooked,
mhm.
and people forget that they're on the front lines and that they need that help and
Yep.
that support. They need to be able to talk about it, and they're probably the ones who think they have to be the strongest,
Mhm.
and just take it home and then not tell their family and just keep it inside. So I
Right.
think it's amazing what you do. And
Thank you.
I know it's dangerous sometimes, right? There's,
Well, and this the deal, like, my husband was like, it's very clear that this is what you're supposed to be doing. You got this phone call and you were looking during COVID, I was looking into doing it for the hospital.
Mhm.
And they were like, "There's no way you can get training in the hospital for this." And when those doors opened for the police and they were restarting the program, Ann Arbor hadn't had a chaplain for 7 years. And they said, "We really need this right now. We are morale." And my husband said, "Well,
There you go.
just wear a vest. Like
Very,
Wow.
you obviously it's what you're supposed to do."
mm,
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah.
that is awesome.
So yeah.
I'm going to give you a hand.
Aw.
But yeah, I would say to anyone who has something really pressing on their heart, um, just take the steps to do it. I mean, really, I went and got my ministry license, and I walked right into a small town in Indiana
Mhm.
department and said, "Do you need any female chaplains?"
It's awesome.
They said, "Yeah, yeah, we do."
They're like, "How about 10 minutes?" That is awesome,
So
Jen.
that
Thank
was the
you.
beginning of it.
Okay, well, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
May
yeah.
I ask
Yes,
you a
of course, of
question?
course.
So
Now
in
let's
my
talk about
line,
Turkish coffee too.
right, yes, we gotta all share some Turkish coffees. In my line of work, the statistic is 50% of workplace violence stems from a domestic violence situation. So, how much do your officers see in relation to DV in this community? I mean, I think you saying some of those statistics could validate a lot of people to understand how much of a problem this is in the community.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it definitely is. And it's amazing, how much self-control they need, when they're going into a situation like that, which is why the chaplaincy is so important. And I can't imagine doing their job and not having a social worker or a chaplain or someone alongside me to just say, "Okay, okay, you're
Right,
gonna just
right,
it's okay.
right, right.
We're gonna handle this in situation." And so they really surprised me at how calm they are and how much training they've had
Yeah.
to dealing with those situations. I mean, not just comforting the people in crisis, but um, I have so much more respect for the officers who have that self control
Yeah.
because I've seen them in situations pull their gun and swear, and
Hmm.
I've seen them in situations where they're very calm
Hmm.
and you just say the person's name who's trying to escape
Yeah.
over and just saying their name.
Yeah.
And I'm just really taken back by that natural gift
Yeah.
that some of them have to handle it. Yeah, because you think about, and this is probably probably rubs people wrong, but the people who are doing the abusing, like what happened to them,
Oh, I think
right?
about that all
It's a
the
cycle,
time.
right?
And
It's the cycle.
and so yeah,
Someone's got to stop that
there
cycle.
was there was a situation I was in where there was an armed robbery, and they had the dogs involved,
Mhm.
and I thought, oh, that poor teenager that got bit by the dog, and they were like, "You feel bad for
Yeah.
you feel bad for him." It's like, kinda, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's,
Yeah.
where I can
That's
help
important
out.
perspective, though.
So,
I appreciate
It
you
is.
answering. Yeah.
yeah, but no, what you're doing is amazing, and
Well,
I'm excited
same.
to support you how I
Same.
can. Uh,
We got a new president of the
I
fan
know,
club
right?
here,
I'm
right?
like, okay.
yeah, yeah.
You matched the
I
right
do
people.
see. I always have a
I love
idea in
that.
my mind,
There's a
right?
method to the
There is a
madness.
method to my madness for sure. It's so funny because I actually only have 3 guests today, and we're getting short on time.
Okay,
So
okay.
no, stay
Yeah,
where you
yeah,
are.
okay.
Joe's just getting ready to get up and leave. But Dr. Evelyn Collins is here, right? And she's here somewhere. But last week, I talked to Caitlin Dombrowski, who's from Samaritas,
Yeah.
and it was all about talking to her about the needs of foster children
Mhm.
in the state of Michigan and how much the need is out there for foster parents. So let's watch this conversation. Okay, so I am with Caitlin Dombrowski from Samaritas, and Caitlin, there is a huge need for foster families. Tell me about this.
Yes, there's about 10,000 kids in the foster care system in Michigan currently, and only about 5,000 foster families. So, for sure, we definitely need families that can take school-age kids, teenagers, multiple kids at a time, anything.
Okay, and the thing is, you guys offer online resources. You can go to the website and kind of read about it, see if it's for you, really, because this is a big commitment.
For sure, for sure. Not everybody's cut out to be a foster parent, but you can attend an orientation online with us via
And no
Zoom.
commitment, right?
No commitment. Yeah,
Okay.
it's really just an informational session. It's a couple hours long, online via Zoom. If you feel like your family's ready for it, then we can walk with you through the licensing process. If not, that's fine too. Then you've just learned a little bit more about the foster care system, and then maybe there's other ways you can tap in to help.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. And the website for Samaritas?
Samaritas.org.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, welcome back. This is Caffeinated Conversations with Brooke Allen, and I am with Dr. Evelyn Collins. And I feel I'm going to apologize to you publicly because you went to Ann Arbor and we're in Royal Oak. So thank you for making the trek. Honestly,
My
I
pleasure.
appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So, this book, what is this about?
I decided to write a book that took 10 lessons that I thought um, anybody could learn from. But it's a culmination of ideas and inspirations from parents. I'm a former educator, from parents, from students, from teachers, from community members about things they wish they knew about now,
Oh, okay.
right? That
Mm-hmm.
would improve their life, that would make their life a lot smoother, maybe a little bit more successful, maybe a little bit more eventful.
Mm-hmm.
And we realized that there are just certain things that our parents didn't tell us. Not that they were attempting to punish us. They
They
just
just
simply
didn't.
didn't know.
So give me an example.
For example, finances.
Oh, yeah, right?
Okay.
Seriously. Those,
So when you think in terms of when you're growing up and your parents talk to you about money and how to use money and what the purpose of money is,
Mhm.
but they don't tell you everything in terms about how to save money. Do
Or
you rent?
budget, right?
Exact. Do you rent or do you buy?
Mhm.
Do you lease a car or do you buy a car? Do you get credit cards before you have a solid job? Or do you wait until, just
Mhm. I'm like,
things.
I don't know. Do you? I'm not sure.
No.
So
When
it's
I was
those sorts of
25.
things. And
Right.
so when you find out, it's
Mm.
not that it's too late, but it kind of feels a little bit like you're catching up.
Okay.
You're catching up.
Mm-hmm.
And had you had that information earlier, maybe you might have done things differently.
Right. And it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of like when you're in the moment, you don't always think of something.
Right.
Right. I mean, I've got 13-year-old twins and they're like, when are we getting a credit card? When do we get? And I'm like,
Right. Exactly.
Oh,
and I'll say,
already.
here, read this book.
And I think for them, even the cell phones, I don't think many of us grew up having cell
No.
phones. Our parents had the cell phones. We might have used their cell phones, but now kids just assume that they're entitled.
Mm-hmm.
So that entitlement comes in. So there are a lot of lessons that perhaps you're trying to teach as a parent
Right.
go right over their head.
So do you remember I was just talking? So my twins do have cell phones, but
Mm.
they're not smartphones though, and they're no internet, no apps, nothing.
Oh, okay.
But what's funny is that we were just talking yesterday about how when this first, texting first started, you had to pay per text.
Right.
Remember, it
Exactly.
was like 10
Right.
cents or something.
Right.
And they were like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So you had to watch. You didn't want to go over your plan,
Exactly.
right? And that's something. And they're like, "Well, we don't have to worry." And I'm like, "Oh yeah,
So
okay."
everything's unlimited
Exactly.
now. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so that is, I mean, there's just things like that that need to be talked about. And okay, so out of this, it says 10 things. What's your number one thing in here?
My number one thing I think is literacy. Only because I don't think people value it. I mean, they say I'm a reader. They
Mhm.
say I love to read. They say I'm reading this particular book, but I don't know that they are.
Okay.
And I don't know that we are as passionate about reading as we once were. I think once the smart technology came along and we were able to put little mini computers in our pockets,
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't a need to go to the library to get books anymore. There wasn't a need, and the library was like a social place too,
Right.
back once upon a time. So all of that is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognize that a lot of kids who maybe can't travel different places can travel via reading. When I was a kid, that's
Yeah.
what I did.
Yes.
I saw many places because I read books. Um, and I knew about a lot in the world because I read books. And I knew about people because I read books.
Mhm.
And I read books, and that led me to watching films, storytelling.
It opens the world.
Exactly. Then the theater, so all of those elements became a part of my life. Literacy in terms of education, storytelling in terms of being a filmmaker, and storytelling in terms of being a theater director, producer. So,
Okay, so you are opening a theater.
yeah, I'm proposing a performing arts center for the city of Detroit.
I love that.
And in the center, it will serve to present and produce productions from all over the world, especially from the African diaspora. It'll also have a young people's theater where you'll take young people, specifically in the theater,
Mm-hmm.
who have aspirations for becoming actors, directors, designers, technicians, that sort of thing.
So the whole thing.
The entire thing.
That is so
And
amazing.
I created a school 2015 back in New York. That's a performing arts school. So in that performing arts school, we have all those areas, and the
Okay.
kids soar.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's the Denzel Washington School of the Arts.
So what's this one
I'm
going to
just
be?
going to add a
Yes.
day there. I'm waiting to hear. I really, really, really want to name the center. This is the first time I'm saying it
Oh,
aloud.
I wasn't sure if
Wow.
you, is that okay?
No,
You don't want to say it?
Oh, I don't know, but I mean, it's a cool.
She's trying to get permissions for the.
I'm trying.
Okay.
It's a cool person,
It is.
and I'm waiting for him to say, "Go for it, Evelyn."
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're not going to tell you.
But you'll
he's a
know who it
musician.
is because
he's
You'll figure it out.
he's a Motown legend. I'll just give you the. Yeah.
So I think, I think that's amazing. When do you expect that to be up and running?
Well, I think the productions will be coming from it in September.
Okay.
The actual building will not be ready because I want to kind of encourage the Board of Education, the city of Detroit, to sell me an old vacant school so we can renovate it.
Cool.
There's 65 vacant schools in the city of Detroit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So let's make all of them theaters.
Right, exactly.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
As an actor, trust me.
you're-
I'm all about it, man.
Oh, cool.
Yes, for sure.
Excellent.
Okay, so we are getting short on time, but I always ask the same question to each guest. I'm going to do it one in a row, okay? And I want you to keep your answer down to one word. Ready?
One.
Yeah, let's try it.
You say 1 minute?
I said one word.
Oh, one word.
Okay.
Okay, so if you
Yes,
had
yes.
anything to say to your younger self over coffee,
You starting with me?
Yep.
Okay.
start with you. If you had one thing to say to your younger self over a cup of coffee in one word, what would it be?
Dream.
Okay, I love that. Jen?
Inspire.
Okay. Jojo?
Loved.
I love all those.
Loved. Yeah.
I love all those very much. Thank you so much. And we will be looking for that theater. And if you're going to do summer camps, I want to hear all about
Okay.
it. I mean, that's a huge thing for
Okay.
me.
Oh,
And
cool.
yes, for sure. And then Jen, you, I hope that May 3rd, right? Is okay. So we'll
So
direct
that's
people to your website
marriage
for
vows.
that. And of course, Jojo, tickets are still available for your gala.
Yes.
Our gala, because I'm on the board.
Yes, I know. Our gala, baby. Now that we announced it.
Yes. And that is April 26th.
April 26th. Doors open at 5. Royal Park Hotel.
Nice.
onthewings.org.
And that's Roy.
That's Rochester. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Rochester for that. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a nice.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so much for
you.
joining me. And I'm obsessed with days, right? Like
Yes.
National Calendar Days. A fun fact people don't know is that book, the National Calendar Days, that originated from Flint. There was a guy who actually came up with those calendars. And I got a chance to interview him when I was with NPR a couple years ago. It was very cool. He has since passed, but so I look at the calendar dates, right? So today is National Coffee Cake Day. So, so help yourself, man. Pass
Thank
it
you.
down.
I love it.
I've been waiting
A
to
couple weeks ago, it was National Chocolate Covered Raisin Day.
Love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So thank you again. I just appreciate all of you so much making the trek. Thank you.
That's cool.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And we will be back next week. Next week, I started this segment last week with Connie Smith about where are they now, media people who have left and kind of transitioned. I'm actually speaking Wednesday at the Clinton Township Library about going from radio to digital and all that I've learned or all that I may not have learned, but whatever. But yeah, so next week we will have a former anchor from Fox on talking about what she's doing. So I'm excited to talk to Jill. So thank you all so much for joining us. And like I always say, it's kind of cold today, right? It's
Yeah.
like, I think it's going to snow. So in the meantime,
Hope
keep
not.
the coffee hot. And we'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Have a great
Thank you,
week.
Brooke.
Thank you.